What are you seeing style trends wise? What can you offer everybody out here in terms of style trends? What was, what isn't, what will be? Do you have any kind of preview for anyone?
I think a lot of the grays are, like you mentioned earlier, you walk in and you see gray. And it's funny because you can walk into a house, I'm sure you can as well. You walk in, you can tell what year, around within a 3 or 4 year period when they remodeled.
Right.
Yeah, because I look and I go, oh yeah, that's 2010 or 15. I think the colors that we like to work with right now, I do a lot of black and white. I think black and whites are really cool. And we're going back to a lot of the warm colors as well. Yeah. More for your, traditional homes. We're seeing a lot more of the traditional wood cabinets, not these grays anymore. These grays, I just had a manufacturer drop these off to see if we wanted to use them. And I guess they'll work in some areas. They're different than your shaker cabinets.
Right.
I probably would use them on a flip, but just because they're different.
Right.
I would do a mix of the cabinets too. I think mixing it up a little bit, doing a different color lower and a different color upper. If you've got an island, do a different color in your island. You can even do a different counter on your island. So I think mixing it up and going with some really cool colors. Benjamin Moore, we use a lot of Benjamin Moore colors, have for years. Mm-hmm. And they have some really neat trends that are out now. You can look them up, color trends of 2020.
Well, that's great advice. I know that I can use the advice. We've talked about my home specifically. I have a small space. And so working within a small space, even though black may be the direction of popularity, I don't want to put black in my kitchen. So what would you recommend for something like that? Somebody that has the smaller space. You said that you're putting this black-white combo in a smaller place in Costa Mesa. How are you making that work so that it doesn't look even smaller and less appealing?
Well, I'm not doing all black. I'm breaking it up with a white, and it's just, I enlarged the kitchen a little bit by making, they had a big 8-foot slider, and I'm like, what do you need an 8-foot slider in here? So we moved it down to 6 feet. I can move the kitchen out, and I took out had like a little mini peninsula on it, and I took that out. So I made it more of just a galley kitchen. So it's going to look appropriate.
You're reworking the space to make things work.
I did, but like you, you can. Your house is great, but it's a house you live in and it's something you want to last forever, then you're more in the warmer colors.
Right.
Yeah, something to match your flooring, because I knew that you didn't want to change your flooring out. And why? You could do something like this for the footprint you have.
So what kind of advice could you give somebody that's buying an investment property that wants to put some work into it, doesn't want to break the bank because they want to scale? What advice would you give them in terms of what type of remodel would they do? And where do you think they could fall short if they're not paying attention?
Spend the money and get an inspection, first of all. Spend the money, get an inspection, bring your contractor with you. It's worth spending $500. If you're going to make a capital investment, especially in today's market, prices are still anything above, $400,000 to $800,000, basically probably the range people are buying in.
And you're talking Orange County specifically or California specifically?
California specifically, because that's predominantly we do a lot of work. Either which way. I buy houses in Northern Nevada, as you know, but I inspect them. I go look at it, or I send an inspector, because I want to know what I'm buying. I think a lot of times people get enamored by the price. They'll buy something. Like today, I even had an argument with the assessor. The assessor called me, and he literally was turned into a full-blown argument, because he's like, "How did you get this house so cheap?" And I'm like, "What are you basing this on?" It was just full-blown conversation. And he started getting a little hostile with me, because you bought it $100,000 in a market. No, I didn't. He's like, "Well, the comps in your area," and I'm like, "Really, dude? Did you inspect my property?" It got a little contentious.
Yeah.
So now I have to prove to them why I bought it so cheap unless they're going to raise my valuation up.
Right. So it was a dispute over taxation, really.
It was a dispute over taxation. I've never had that call before. And I was like, really, they must be getting desperate for money. So
aren't they always?
Yeah. So I would just inspect your house, get a solid bid. Get a bid from your contractor.
Yeah.
Obviously research and, check the license. I would say don't hire handymen to do your work. Do it the legit way. Get permits, do what you're supposed to do. One more thing to consider too is remediation. If you've got, popcorn ceilings and, the place was built before '83, you better get that tested.
Right.
Because that's a big no-no. I mean, you can get, the people moving into the house, if there's any question, if they find something that, that's questionable for asbestos or mold or something and you haven't dealt with it, it's an issue. You're going to get sued.